Cable Bahamas has always been considered the innovator.
People can have confidence in Cable Bahamas as a mobile operator because of our past history. We've proven to the Bahamian community that we are in fact able to manage additional services as a telecommunications company.
Customers expect the best from Cable Bahamas.
The technology that we bring is revolutionary technology because we know that the Bahamian public, they deserve it, and Cable Bahamas is here to bring it to them.
We are ready. Turn us on.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, we dig deeper into that Rubis fuel spill saga. Why government took so long to release the damning report on the matter. The Tall Pines MP again calling for capital punishment to be carried out. The Carnival marching route changes, and we talk to the youngest Microsoft specialist in the Bahamas. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on MB12 Weekend. Welcome once again to MB12. There's more to the story surrounding the Rubis fuel spill that occurred in the Marathon area in late 2012. On Friday, we told you about the findings of a Black and Beach report in which it was revealed that nearby residents may have been exposed to harmful chemicals in their groundwater, one of those chemicals being a known cause of cancer. But tonight we go a little deeper into what these findings mean for those who may have been affected and what happens next for them and also the government. Kyle Joaquin reports.
It's been over 2 years since that Rubis fuel spill, and there are still many unanswered questions. Residents of this area want to know for sure if they were exposed to harmful chemicals in their groundwater. They say if they were, they would like to know if it's now safe for them to do things like take a bath or even brush their teeth with that water.
Surely someone should have told me. Someone should have taken me to the hospital, taken my blood, taken my urine, tested me, and done it on a monthly basis over the last 2 years. Is that not fair, Dr. Brennan? And the other question for everyone, one by one, is if these were your children living in those houses, would it have been acceptable for 2 years to pass before anyone tested them? For all four, if you don't mind.
That's a question several residents had for officials at a recent town meeting held by the Bahamas Environment, Science and Technology Commission. Attendees were informed that some residents in the Marathon area may have been exposed to harmful chemicals in their groundwater like benzene, a known contributor of cancer. As to why those residents weren't at least tested for any effects.
We don't want to use methods of drawing blood to give you a false sense of security in believing just because I drew your blood and your blood didn't give us a result that said you were or were not exposed,
right,
or you were or were not in that level, that we would necessarily give you the sense of security to say, okay, you know what, for the next 5, 10, 20 years, you're good. We need to ensure that we put a system in place in order to monitor people's health. Because, again, if you don't have something that happens to you today, does that mean that you are good for the next 5, 10, 15 years? No. We need to have a system in place to continuously monitor people in order to assess that.
A detailed report on the 2012 spill has been requested for several months now. And that night, the director of the Best Commission, Philip Weech, said the report would be made available the next day on the Best Commission's website or at their office. However, when we looked for the website, it had been suspended.
They dug a trench around the service station to release the vapors from probably flowing into Cable Bahamas. You know that we were affected by those vapors. The way in which the wind blows, mostly it's coming from the east, but when it changed direction, do you know that we were in our houses suffering from those? We couldn't figure out why all of a sudden it got so strong. That's because they dug the trench. Nobody told us.
1 year and what, 2 months after Black and Beach told you that there was health risks to the people in the area, that some of the levels were unacceptable? Why is the government, my question is this, why isn't the government coming clean? Why aren't the cards on the table? Do you know people have died of cancer in Marathon? You know that?
Here was Weech's response to that and why the information was never made public until last Thursday.
I'm not aware that we are hiding any information, but the information that we have in the internal reports that we have used came from a variety of different sources, some of which are public, some of which are private. A decision taken to release that only comes as a result of the approval given by the Bahamas government to do so, and that's consulting with our lawyers, which is the Attorney General's office. That's the process.
Shortly after that town meeting, moderator Jeff Lloyd asked if any representative of the government wished to speak. Neither Environment Minister Kendra Dorset nor Marathon MP Jerome Fitzgerald budged, but Lloyd made the call once again.
But is there any, the Department of Environmental Health Services, the PS of the Ministry of the Environment, we can retrieve the Minister of the Environment. There's the representative for the Marathon constituency.
Eventually, the assistant director from the Department of Environmental Health Services took to the mic. Environment Minister Ken Dorset told reporters afterward that he only came to the meeting to hear residents' concerns, but we caught up with the area's representative, Jerome Fitzgerald, who said he's not satisfied with the way Rubis has been handling the situation.
And so it's something that I think to a great extent, Rubis really is going to have to be held to account on this and step up to the plate.
Have they agreed to meet with you?
No. Not agreed. I've tried on a number of occasions to meet with them.
What have they been saying to you?
They have just put me off, you know. And I've even spoken to residents to arrange to have some of the residents go in with me. The residents have been waiting for me to get back to them. I've told them Rubis has not agreed to meet with me. The general manager has been replaced now and still no agreement to meet. And so, you know, we have to take a different tack. That's all.
Some residents have already decided to file lawsuits against Rubis. Meanwhile, others have found it impossible to insure or sell their homes. We have been informed that the managing director for Rubis is out of office and is the only person that can speak to the issue. Reporting for NB12 Weekend, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
It raises the question, why did government take so long to release the report and warn those neighboring residents of the possible health implications? The report was completed in early 2014. It took government more than a year to make it public. Head of the BEST Commission, Philip Weish, has said that the decision to release the report lies at the feet of government. One day after the town meeting, NB12 asked Minister of the Environment, Ken Dorset, why the report was only just made public. He said government essentially had to absorb what was in the report.
The reality is when we got the report, it required some time for everyone to digest it. And then there's an existing legal battle going on. And I think that that had some bearing on the issue. But the reality is the government has now released the report. It should be made available today if it hasn't been done so already. By my instructions, to be placed on the BEST Commission's website today, and people can go to the BEST Commission and review a hard copy. And so hopefully that will enable all and sundry to at least know what was recommended and to even chime in if they so desire.
When asked how government is prepared to respond to those lawsuits that some residents have filed and others are planning to, Dorset said he would not comment on any legal matters.
Many of the families have already sought counsel and have gotten advice on the matter. But I think what was most important about last night was the government laying the facts before the people and speaking to what was found through the data retrieved and that was processed and examined by Black & Veatch, who is the government's backstop environmental consultant on the matter, and our technical team. And I think the most important thing that I think was made known was the fact that the standards employed were those that are acceptable in the United States of America.
Dorset insisted that residents are just upset because they want their voices heard, and the town hall meeting on Thursday gave them the opportunity to speak up.
People just wanted to be heard. People wanted to feel as though there would be a direct channel of communication, particularly on public health issues, not really environmental issues, but public health issues. And so it was incredibly important and valuable for Dr. DeLon Brennan and Dr. Pearl Macmillan to be there representing the Ministry of Health and the Department of Health last night to speak specifically to what they were and are continuing to do.
Shifting gears now, Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller has renewed his calls for MPs to step up and push for capital punishment. Miller, whose son Mario was murdered in 2002, says it's not until one experiences the heartache of losing a child to violence that they feel his urge to see convicted murderers hanged. Just after a passionate contribution in the House of Assembly earlier this week, Miller told MB12 he will feel sorry for many sitting MPs come 2017 if they don't get serious about sending a message to murderers.
I believe unless we are prepared as men and women in this parliament who were sent here by the people to work on their behalf, to do what is necessary in this country to enable us to stop these crimes from being committed almost daily on our people and foreigners alike. And I use the gentleman, Long Island, the Canadian gentleman, I want to give my sincerest sympathy to his family. When is it going to stop? I mean, why do we need to rely on Britain or London to make decisions on behalf of our country? We are grown men and women. We are an independent country from 1973.
The last time capital punishment was carried out was January 6, 2000. In March 2006, the Privy Council ruled that the mandatory death sentence in the Bahamas was unconstitutional. Miller says while he respects the rulings of the Privy Council, Bahamians are the ones being murdered.
We are the ones being butchered, not the ones in London. Therefore, we need to implement the laws of our country to the benefit of the Bahamian people. Failure to do so, I say that when those polls close at 6 p.m., when election is called, I urge people to do the right thing.
Well, Free National Movement Deputy Leader Peter Turnquest is questioning whether officials at Baha Mar took into consideration the many people that may have left their previous jobs to take up work at the new resort. The multi-billion-dollar project has experienced delays at least twice. The May 1st grand opening could be pushed back to a date not yet announced. With visible construction still ongoing at the site, Turnquest says it's really prospective employees and the country's finances that are being left in limbo.
This is obviously bad news for the economy of the Bahamas, particularly here in Nassau. It is bad news for those employees who had hoped to begin working in earnest at Baha Mar. This will no doubt have a trickle-down effect throughout the economy. Again, as we indicated previously, the tax revenue that is anticipated from the value-added tax and the resort taxes was intended to offset some of the deficit that we have. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen. It doesn't look like it's going to happen in this entire budget year.
Baha Mar CEO Sarkis Merlian on Wednesday hurled sharp criticisms at both the Bahamian government and Baha Mar general contractor China Construction America Bahamas Limited, suggesting they failed to deliver on promises for the $3.5 billion resort. As Merlian said, the discontent and concerns surrounding the project are now felt across nearly all sectors of the country. Meantime, Turnquest also commented on the tragic death of the Bahamian construction worker killed on the Baha Mar site.
It is important that in all of the work that is being done, that not only that it is brought in on time, but it is brought in safely. And so we call upon Baha Mar and all of its subcontractors to ensure that the proper safeguards are in place to ensure the safety and security of all those employees who are working on that project. We know that they're working diligently and very hard to try and get it to completion, but we want it brought to completion safely and with no further loss of life.